Have you ever woken up in the morning, sat on the edge of your bed, and just listened to the silence? No knocks on the door, no kids running around, no phone buzzing with messages. Maybe the house feels a little too quiet now. Maybe some days you wonder when you last laughed out loud or shared a warm meal with someone who truly gets you. You're not alone in feeling this way, though ironically, it can often feel like you are. As we get older, the world around us changes. People move away, loved ones pass on, friends we used to see weekly become names on a dusty Christmas card list. And before we know it, life begins to feel emptier. But here's something I need you to hear. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. You still have the power to make this chapter of your life the most vibrant, peaceful, and meaningful one yet. You are not a burden. You are not forgotten. You are not done growing. And today, I want to walk with you through something that might just change how you experience every day moving forward. Let's talk about 6 powerful habits that can bring light, joy, and purpose back into your daily life, whether you live alone now or you're simply preparing for the future. These aren't magical fixes. They're real, practical shifts that anyone can do, starting today. And they're more powerful than most people realize, especially as we grow older. Let me ask you something. Do your days feel like they blur together? Do you ever wonder where the time went? One of the quietest dangers of aging alone is how easily time slips through your fingers. Without a clear purpose each day, the hours blend into one long stretch of stillness. That's why the first habit, possibly the most underrated of them all, is to create a daily routine. Now, I'm not talking about some rigid, military-style schedule. I mean a gentle, thoughtful rhythm to your day. Something that brings you back to yourself and gives you a reason to rise each morning. A structure that holds you steady, especially when life feels uncertain. Think of James, a 75-year-old retired engineer. After his wife passed, the days felt endless and hollow. He found himself sleeping in late, skipping meals, spending hours in front of the television without even realizing what he was watching. He was drifting. Until one day, he sat down with a pen and paper and made a simple choice: to take back control of his time. He began waking up at 7:30 every morning. Not because someone told him to, but because he chose to. He'd make his bed, stretch a little, brew a pot of tea, and sit by the window to watch the sunrise. He planned small things into his day: a walk around the block, a phone call with his granddaughter, preparing lunch instead of microwaving leftovers. Slowly, life began to move again, not because it got busier, but because it became intentional. Your routine doesn't have to be grand. It just needs to be yours. Maybe it starts with writing in a journal, feeding the birds, tending to a plant, or reading a chapter of a book before bed. It's these simple things, repeated with care, that restore your sense of purpose. And if you're thinking, "But I don't have anything important to do anymore," let me gently remind you, you are important. Your day matters because you matter. Structure gives your time value. It reminds you that you're still in control. And that, my friend, is a powerful thing. Now, once you've built a rhythm for your day, there's something else that can breathe even more energy and hope into your life. It's simple, but not always easy, especially if you've spent the last few years slowing down. The second habit is physical movement. I know. People hear the word exercise and immediately picture heavy weights or long jogs. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about keeping your body engaged, even in the smallest ways. Because here's the truth. The more we stop moving, the more we lose the ability to move. And independence? It starts with strength. Linda, a 77-year-old former librarian, used to be on her feet all day. After retirement, she spent more time in her armchair, flipping through magazines and watching TV. At first, she thought it was harmless. But then her knees started aching. Her balance felt off. She found herself avoiding steps and bending down. "I guess this is just what getting old feels like," she told herself. But it wasn't. She joined a local walking group that met twice a week. Nothing intense, just 30-minute strolls through the neighborhood with a few friendly faces. She also began stretching every morning, lifting soup cans as makeshift weights, and dancing in her kitchen while the kettle boiled. And guess what? Her pain eased. Her sleep improved. Her energy returned. All because she moved just a little more each day. Staying active is the closest thing we have to a fountain of youth. Movement keeps your muscles strong, your joints flexible, and your heart beating with purpose. And if walking's not easy for you, that's okay. Chair stretches, water aerobics, or even standing up and sitting down a few extra times can do wonders. The goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to keep living independently, comfortably, and with confidence. And here's something else you might not expect. Physical movement sharpens your mind. It reduces the risk of dementia, lifts your mood, and boosts your clarity. Every step you take helps your brain as much as your body. So if today's been a quiet one, try this. Stand up slowly. Roll your shoulders. Reach toward the ceiling. Breathe in deep. Wiggle your fingers. March in place for 30 seconds. That's it. You've already started. And once you've built a gentle rhythm into your day and invited movement back into your life, something else begins to shift. You feel lighter, more awake, more open. And that, my friend, opens the door to the next important step on this journey. Because once you have a routine that brings stability and movement that keeps your body and mind energized, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel ready to reconnect. That leads us to one of the most powerful yet often overlooked habits, staying socially engaged. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Most of my friends have moved away. My family's busy with their own lives. I don't want to bother anyone. And I get it. That hesitation is real. But here's the truth. Human connection isn't a luxury. It's a need. It doesn't go away just because we get older. In fact, it becomes more important. Isolation has a quiet way of creeping in. One missed phone call turns into a week of silence. One quiet dinner becomes a month of eating alone. Before long, you start to forget the sound of your own laughter. But connection breathes life back into you. It reminds you that you still matter. That your voice, your stories, your presence, all still mean something to someone. Let me tell you about Henry. He's 81 years old, a widower. After his wife passed, the silence in the house felt unbearable. At first, he thought time would heal it. But days turned into months, and the phone stopped ringing as often. His children had their hands full. His friends were harder to reach. It hurt, but he kept it all inside. Until one day, he decided to stop waiting for the phone to ring and picked it up himself. He started small. A call to an old buddy he hadn't spoken to in years. An email to a local community center. He joined a weekly senior chess club online. Didn't even know how to play at first, but he learned. And just like that, the days didn't feel quite as long anymore. He had people to talk to, something to look forward to, and a reason to smile again. You don't need a packed social calendar. A single meaningful conversation can light up your entire week. Talk to your neighbor. Send a message to someone you miss. Join a book club, a knitting circle, a gardening group. If you're not comfortable going out, go online. There are groups, forums, classes, places where people like you are looking for connection too. And here's the beautiful part. When you reach out, you're not just helping yourself. You're giving someone else a moment of connection they may have needed just as badly. Loneliness isn't about being physically alone. It's about feeling unseen, unheard, unneeded. Connection changes that. Now, when you combine routine, movement, and social engagement, you begin to feel more grounded. But there's another habit, one that's deeply personal and just as powerful, keeping your mind stimulated. Aging doesn't mean your curiosity fades. Your brain is like a garden. If you stop tending it, weeds grow. But if you keep feeding it, exploring new things, staying mentally active, It blossoms. Let's talk about Susan. She's 73, a retired school teacher who spent decades encouraging young minds to grow. But after retirement, her days became quieter, and over time, she noticed she was forgetting things: where she left her keys, why she walked into a room. It scared her. She missed the feeling of being sharp, being curious. So she made a change. She picked up crossword puzzles again, just like she used to do with her students. She started reading books that challenged her thinking. Then she took a leap. She enrolled in a beginner Spanish course online. It was tough at first, but within weeks, she noticed a change. Her focus came back. She had stories to share again. Her confidence returned. Learning doesn't stop because we turn 70, 80, or even 90. If anything, this is the time to finally explore the things you didn't have time for before. Paint, write, study history, try your hand at poetry, teach yourself to play a song on the piano, or learn to cook a dish from a different culture. The goal isn't perfection, it's engagement. Even simple changes can wake up your brain. Switch up your routine. Take a different path on your walk. Use your non-dominant hand for tasks. All of this builds new pathways in the brain and keeps it strong. And you don't have to do it alone. Invite others to learn with you. Share what you're reading. Ask questions. Have deeper conversations. Mental stimulation isn't just about keeping your memory sharp. It's about feeding your spirit. It gives you something to wake up for, something to be excited about, something that says, I'm still growing. You are never too old to be curious, never too old to dream, and certainly never too old to surprise yourself with what you're capable of. These first few habits, building a daily rhythm, keeping your body moving, reaching out to others, and feeding your mind, they aren't just checklists. They're invitations. Invitations to wake up with intention, to live each day, not just pass through it. And when these habits begin to take root, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that life, even in its quietest moments, still holds joy, still holds discovery, still holds meaning. You begin to feel the weight lift, the weight of time, of regret, of fear. And in its place, there's a lighter, steadier kind of energy. One that says, this chapter of life is mine to shape. Let's keep going. Because there's more to this journey. And the next habit we'll explore is one that can bring unexpected peace, no matter what life has brought your way. It's the habit of gratitude and reflection. Simple words, but don't let their simplicity fool you. They carry the power to completely shift how you experience your life. You see, as we age, it's easy to focus on what we've lost. People we loved, health we once had, dreams we didn't get to finish. And those losses are real. I would never ask you to pretend they don't matter. But here's the truth. Even in the midst of grief, there is still so much beauty to be found in the life you still have. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means noticing the warmth of sunlight on your face, the joy in a favorite old song, the comfort of a good book or a kind word. It means waking up and choosing, yes, choosing, to see what's still here with you. William, a 78-year-old retired firefighter, lost his wife after over 50 years of marriage. In the months that followed, he found himself drifting. His days were full of memories, but those memories often brought more ache than peace. He missed her voice, her laughter, the way she used to remind him to drink more water or straighten his tie. And then one day, his daughter gave him a notebook and said, "Write down 3 things you're thankful for every morning. Just try it." At first it felt forced, but he gave it a shot. The first day he wrote, "My coffee, my daughter's visit, the bird on the windowsill." The next day, clean sheets, a good night's sleep, the memory of our wedding day. It didn't erase the pain, but it softened it. Slowly, his days became lighter. His focus shifted, not on what was missing, but on what remained. He still missed her deeply. But he also began to cherish the present moment in a way he never had before. Gratitude doesn't require grand events. It lives in the little things. A quiet morning, a warm bath, a smile from a stranger, the comfort of knowing you made it through another day. When you build the habit of recognizing these moments, your heart begins to open again. And just as important as gratitude is reflection. Not the kind where we beat ourselves up over past mistakes or dwell on regrets, but the kind where we sit quietly and simply listen to ourselves. Where we ask, what have I learned? What do I value now? What brings me peace? Reflection can happen in prayer, in meditation, in silence under the trees, in the pages of a journal, or in the rhythm of your breath. When you take even 5 minutes each day to sit with yourself, something begins to shift. Your thoughts settle, your heart steadies, and slowly you begin to feel more grounded in who you are, not who you were or who the world expects you to be, but who you are right now. Even in solitude, you are never truly alone when you connect with your inner self. And the more you reflect, the more you realize how much wisdom you carry. You've lived through decades of joy and hardship. You've learned lessons that can't be taught in any classroom. You have stories worth telling and insights worth sharing. And that brings us to one final habit, perhaps the most meaningful of all. It's the habit of giving. Now this might sound surprising. After all, when you're alone, you might think you have nothing left to give. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, giving may be the very thing that brings you back to life. Betty, an 81-year-old retired nurse, felt her world shrink after she left her job. Her children had their own families. Her days felt repetitive, and she began to feel invisible. But one morning, she saw a flyer at her local grocery store asking for volunteers at the nearby food bank. She didn't think she had the energy, but she called anyway. At first, she went in just once a week, helping pack boxes or greet visitors. Then, she started staying longer, talking with the people who came in, listening to their stories, offering encouragement. That food bank became a second home. She made new friends, laughed again, and most importantly, felt useful, needed, valued. That's what giving does. It reminds you that you still matter. You don't have to volunteer full-time. Helping others can be as simple as checking in on a neighbor, sending a card to someone going through a hard time, mentoring a young person online, or just holding space for a friend who needs to talk. Even sharing your wisdom, your stories, your experiences can light the way for someone younger who's still figuring things out. Giving brings meaning back to your life. It shifts the focus from what's missing to what you can offer. And every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates a ripple. It touches others, and it circles back to you. And here's a secret no one tells you. When you give, especially when you least feel like it, you receive. You receive connection, purpose, joy, that sense of being alive and in the world again. So here we are, together, at the heart of something truly powerful. 6 habits. Not complicated, not unreachable, but each one rooted in something deeper, your ability to choose how you live each day. Not based on what you've lost, but on what you can still create. Build a routine that gives your day rhythm. Move your body with kindness and care. Reach out and stay connected. Stimulate your mind with curiosity and learning. Practice gratitude and take time for quiet reflection. And above all, give your time, your voice, your care. You don't need to do them all perfectly. You just need to begin. Start small. Start today. Even one habit, one tiny shift, can change how you feel about your life. And if you've made it this far, if you're still watching, that tells me something. You're ready. You're ready to take your days back. To live with intention. To remind yourself that your story isn't over. In fact, this might just be the most meaningful chapter yet. I'd love to hear from you. What habit spoke to you most today? What's one thing you plan to try? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video touched your heart, please consider liking it, sharing it with someone who might need it, and subscribing for more content made just for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for the life that's still ahead of you. Until next time, take good care. You are seen, you are valued, and you are never, ever too late to live a joyful, meaningful life.